Welcome, everyone, to part one of our series, Summer of Connectivity. Kicking off the series is Dion Pico, our Senior Director of Strategy at Progress DataDirect. I would like to hand today's session off to Dion. Welcome, Dion.
Thank you very much, Marlis. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody, depending on, of course, where you're joining from. Thank you very much for joining this first part of the series. It's a three-part series, and I'll cover the other two parts towards the end to give you a bit of a preview as well. Today we're really going to talk about opening up that Salesforce.com data silo. A lot of times folks need to integrate their Salesforce.com data for a variety of use cases, and they're either struggling with batch-oriented processes or heavyweight solutions, and we want to talk about really what I genuinely believe is a better solution to that problem. So let's jump right into part one of our series today, really all around Salesforce.com. Before we go any further, I do want to level set. Really, who is the audience that will benefit most from this part of the webinar, this episode in the series? Well, really a number of folks who I believe, folks we've already solved these kind of problems for, and I really want to make sure that it aligns to all three of these groups, and that really would include the Salesforce.com administrators or folks in corporate IT. You may be needing to connect your BI tools or your dashboard to Salesforce. You might be building internal apps on Force.com or looking to do things like ETL integrations or other use cases. If you're an application ISV, an independent software vendor, you may be building an application integration to Salesforce, or you may be wanting to build an add-on to the CRM ecosystem, and maybe you want to take an approach that's a bit more generic. It may be something that works with all CRM systems. So I'm going to show you an approach that is very heterogeneous in that circumstance. And then finally, system integrators. Oftentimes you're looking to build an integration on behalf of an enterprise customer. You want economical tools, not too heavyweight, and help you solve that problem quickly. I think you get a lot out of this as well. So hopefully for anyone else who doesn't fall into one of these buckets, you'll find something here very useful, or certainly can refer this to a friend who may find it useful as well, maybe a friend or a coworker. So, just to level set, I think it's pretty spectacular what Salesforce has done. They've really developed a massive ecosystem around their application, extended with the platform as well. So it's not just CRM, but it includes other applications. And for many companies, that would include their homegrown applications built on Force.com. Over 100,000 companies today use Salesforce.com to support really supporting their customers and their engagement. Over 1,800 ISVs building applications on top of Salesforce. So an incredible base of software vendors and developers there as well. And then over 350 systems integrators are using Salesforce or integrating Salesforce into some of their clients' ecosystems as well, even assisting them as they move to the cloud. They all have one thing in common. The problem that's shared by this entire ecosystem is, how do we unlock that Salesforce.com data silo? How do we open that data up, get access to it, especially in real time? That's a key item that we see a lot of interest in, is how do people move to real-time Salesforce.com integration? Well, if you've attended Dreamforce, I was lucky enough to attend Dreamforce last year. We actually had a pretty cool booth there, actually. I think we were named to one of the top 50 moments at Dreamforce, one of the top 50 photos. So if you were at Dreamforce last year, you might remember us as the guys who live painted our booth throughout the show. Great time. One thing that struck me, though, was really during Mark Benioff's keynote. And for those of you who don't know Mark, of course, he is the CEO of Salesforce. Effectively, what Mark was saying on stage is that APIs are the answer. APIs are the answer to everything in some ways. Now, I know that's certainly not what he meant, but for the most part, Dreamforce 2013 was really all about APIs. And so when it comes to unlocking the Salesforce.com data silo, aren't APIs the answer? Mark certainly seemed to believe so. What I would say is that APIs generally work very well for programmers. That's who they were designed by programmers, and they were designed for programmers. But these traditional REST APIs still carry with them some of their own burdens and challenges. So even if you are a developer, you still have issues with these APIs. So for example, Oftentimes, companies need to deal with more than just Salesforce. They probably have Salesforce and Eloqua or Marketo or Microsoft Dynamics, any variety of cloud-based or SaaS-based applications. And the reality is each of those APIs is proprietary. Proprietary in terms of its data model, in terms of how the I'll call it class structure or namespace structure is set up. The reality is each one is unique, each one is different, and requires a fair amount of enablement to become proficient with that API. Each of those APIs from those SaaS vendors, including Salesforce, they change regularly, whether it's quarterly or or some other interval. The reality is they do change quite frequently and can quite often require you, especially if you want to take advantage of the new features, to evolve your application, to recode, to change, and re-release in order to leverage those APIs. And then finally, these APIs can really be downright complex. When you start dealing with things like bulk loading of data, your security authentication and authorization rules, dealing with latencies and various other issues that you're going to have to deal with, there's a lot of complexity brought with that. And again, it becomes multiplied for every different SaaS application you need to support. But overall, I used to be a developer. I love my APIs, so I'm certainly not here to bash APIs, but again, recognizing some of the limitations, and we always, as engineers, always looking for a better solution. And so I propose there is something a little better, even for the developer. But what about the rest of us? I mean, the reality is APIs aren't for everybody. They don't help the rest of us, the analysts, folks in marketing or sales operations, people doing business intelligence. Few of our tools today leverage these APIs. And even if they do leverage those APIs, they're often far too complex for my skill set. So if I'm a business analyst, I'm really not equipped to deal with REST APIs. I'm really not equipped to deal with very complex data integration tools. So, drawing a lot of lines, understanding cardinality, and all of those fun things, really not in my bailiwick. So, for custom integrations, do-it-yourself projects, the reality is they can still be time-consuming, tough to implement, expensive to maintain. And so, yeah, it's a solution for developers. It's not always the best solution for developers. And again, for the rest of us, it just doesn't work whatsoever. So what is the answer? Well, the most common way I see of opening up that data silo today is that people are really doing what I would call file or spreadsheet-oriented batch processing. Everything I see, and I would say 9 out of 10 customers we encounter often have at least some integration built on this, is that it's all based around Microsoft Excel. So that batch-oriented integration through the use of really spreadsheets is the dominant method today. I mean, it does provide broad support. Virtually everything supports Excel, so there's no surprise here at all, because whether it's BI tools or what have you, everything does support Excel. It is certainly one of the de facto data tools in business. But it has problems, of course. I think we all recognize what those might be. This is often a very slow method, often very manual, quite honestly. A lot of people haven't even automated this, but can be certainly very slow, very manual, quickly hit various limits in terms of file size and row counts and so on and so forth. And really, you lack that ability to provide that information in real time. This whole process in general can often take minutes, even when you've automated it. And so getting it to more of a real-time view can be difficult, let alone all of the nuances of versioning and collaboration and everything else behind the scenes. But it continues to be the most dominant way of opening up that data silo today. Well, I would argue there are certain sets of use cases that really operate better with a real-time approach. And some that certainly you could leverage APIs for, I think can benefit from this approach as well. Take something like business intelligence and analytics. You want real-time access to your SaaS data. That's where the world is heading. That interval, the singularity that we're all heading to is shortening that window of time so that you get up-to-date information. Nothing's out of date. Nothing's stale. You can have a live dashboard that your marketing or sales teams can drill into. That's where we're heading. And you want to make sure that it's compatible with all of your favorite tools, because not everybody likes to use Salesforce reporting. I love Tableau as an example. And even though Tableau would have a Salesforce connector within it, it certainly has some major limitations as well. That doesn't always make it a great solution. But if you like Tableau, if you like ClickView or MicroStrategy or what have you, you want to make sure that whatever you choose is compatible with it. And luckily, some of those vendors have already chosen this solution. So if you use one of those tools, you can take advantage of this solution right away. What if you're doing data integration or migration or data escrow as an example? You want to integrate your Salesforce.com data into your data warehouse. Maybe you want to take a snapshot for really to set a baseline for future measurements or KPIs or historical analysis and auditing. Maybe you want to run it through some sort of data quality tool or into your MDM processes, or you're looking to consolidate infrastructure, maybe moving your legacy on-premise CRM up into Salesforce. How do you do that? Maybe you're developing website content. You could use the REST APIs, of course, but you want a simpler way, a way that plugs into just about, whatever your web infrastructure choices might be, and give you a very simple way to evolve and continue to provide those real-time updates as well. And then finally, for those of you developing applications, whether on Force.com or not, how do you simplify the interfaces? How can you reduce that enablement curve? How can you stop managing the ever-changing APIs? Well, there's an approach here, and I think all of these use cases can be solved by standards. This is the beauty of industry standards, and really within the world today, from a data perspective, and again, this is all about opening up that data silo. Really, the two industry standards that are widely supported by virtually any data-centric application are ODBC and JDBC. And so by using an ODBC or JDBC approach, you've effectively SQL-enabled your Salesforce data. SQL, of course, being a very much a standard around what relational databases have adopted as a way of querying them. And so this brings a lot of benefits to folks. Not only do you get broad compatibility, it's very easy to evolve your integration, simply replacing the query, really adjusting the fields that you're looking to leverage, as opposed to recoding, recompiling, re-releasing. You can certainly abstract those outside of your major code paths and really simplify the integration along that path as well. And it really surprises me how, even though these standards have existed for, in some cases, over 20 years, folks continue to use what I would call the least common denominator, which is really more of a web integration. And so I would challenge everyone here to really rethink the way they integrate with Salesforce.com and look to leverage standards that are designed for data integration, largely ODBC and JDBC again. And here at Progress at DataDirect, we have a great solution for that many companies have taken advantage of, whether it's corporate IT, government agencies or departments, software vendors. This solution is really providing ODBC and JDBC support for Salesforce.com. So if you want to plug in your favorite BI tools, if you want to embed something in your application to simplify that integration, or you have an infrastructure or platform as a service play here, this works with all of them. So we help you SQL enable your Salesforce.com data quite simply. We make it look and act like a regular database. You have both ODBC and JDBC support to choose from. So you have broad compatibility. Most BI tools, for example, would support ODBC, Tableau, ClickView being great examples. Many application platforms support JDBC, especially if they've been written on J2EE. So JDBC is a great solution there as well. We support all of your platforms. So whether your Windows, your Linux, your Unix, you want to have things like Windows authentication built into it, all of that's supported. So it's a very easy way to integrate it into your existing ecosystem and bring compatibility to what you do. So as I said, really using DataDirect, we help you open up your Salesforce.com data and make it look like it was just another relational database. Very, very simple, very easy to use. It's going to be instantly compatible. But even more important with that, any application built on Force.com will actually work with this driver approach. It doesn't work just for your CRM. If you're using applications like Viva or Financial Force or ServiceMax, or you've built a homegrown application on Force.com and you want to connect BI tools to it, it's one solution that works across the entire platform. So that's important to keep in mind as well. Let me give you a great example. I spoke about them briefly. MicroStrategy. I think most people know MicroStrategy is one of the premier suppliers of business intelligence software that's really helping a lot of enterprises make sense of their data. MicroStrategy really had a challenge, which was, sustain its market leadership in the face of really customer demands. Customers are finding their data is being more and more fragmented, contained in more silos. It's all not just in their on-premise databases, which is historically where most data has been contained, but it now lives in places like Salesforce.com or big data systems like Apache Hive, for example. And so the solution at MicroStrategy, after much evaluation, they chose Progress DataDirect. They embed our ODBC drivers so that out of the box, MicroStrategy really provides high-performance, real-time connectivity to not only Salesforce, but other sources of data as well. And so from an end-user perspective, and many of you may already use MicroStrategy, the end result is that you really have a simplified user experience. You want to do BI in real time against Salesforce? You can do it right there out of the box, very simple, built into the UI. And one of the benefits, of course, many people love is that the data stays where it is. The data stays within Salesforce. So MicroStrategy is connecting in real time, doing the analysis, as opposed to, especially if it's sensitive data, being exported into Excel files, for example, shared in Dropbox, maybe emailed around, very susceptible to I hate to call it a data breach because that's not certainly what it is, but really data getting in the hands of people who really shouldn't be seeing it, much more susceptible when you're really persisting it as files as well. So it's a great solution there, and again, for all of you who are MicroStrategy customers, I'm sure you would attest to how easy it is to do that. And so I encourage you all to follow the MicroStrategy lead and think about a new approach. I think it can certainly bring a lot of benefits there as well. I want to talk about some of those benefits. I think these are important. One of the things one of the reasons why folks end up choosing our solution here is because when they're dealing with a variety of use cases, some being transactional in nature, some being BI in nature, oftentimes you want to move large volumes of data, and coding custom solutions against a very broad, rich set of APIs, you often miss edge cases, such as leveraging the bulk load APIs. When I see custom DIY solutions, I seldom see folks who've taken advantage of the bulk load APIs or the CDC APIs, for example, that are available from Salesforce. Our solution, again, all through the standards-based approach, so making it feel like a database, under the hood supports all of these great capabilities. So we're going to leverage the bulk support for you or CDC capabilities for you so that effectively you don't have to do anything. It's just very, very seamless. You simply tell it you want to have bulk load support and you have it. You don't have to worry about keeping up with quarterly API updates. Your application is insulated from that. You're programming to SQL. You're really passing in a SQL statement. And under the hood, again, we insulate you from all of those changes. You can have up to 100 times performance gains. And that's actually pretty incredible because we leverage things like caching the data locally. So wherever you've decided to run this driver, that data can be cached. You don't no longer need to really perform an expensive web service or REST service operation, which has to travel across the wire, which across the internet, which has a lot of latency associated with it. As long as that data is in the cache, you're going to get massive performance boosts as well. You'll see enterprise features like transparent reconnections, for example, automatically taking advantage of security, SSL, connection pooling. You don't have to learn new languages. You can bypass resource limits. It goes on and on. There's many benefits here. I just wanted to hit on the main ones, really to just really whet your appetite into what I believe is a superior solution around data integration. So again, if you're doing more application-to-application integration, the REST APIs may be a better solution, of course, but again, for anything that's very data-centric, I would certainly challenge you to reconsider that approach. And I want to also mention as well that this standard approach applies to many different data sources. So you may be starting with Salesforce.com today. You may be wanting to do Marketo or Eloqua tomorrow. And maybe you want to do MongoDB or Amazon Redshift in the near future. Well, the beauty of the DataDirect approach is that it's all standardized. It is consistent across all of these different data sources. The SQL we would support, for example, the seamless nature of how we integrate with security or bulk loads or anything else that these variety of data sources support, you really have one interface to all of this data. So it really, again, if you're an ISV in particular, you're writing once and really taking advantage of all of these data sources. So again, it's an investment that will really pay off in the future. I see most customers starting with Salesforce.com, but certainly once they get their heads wrapped around what it means to have Salesforce integration, Marketo, Eloqua, those other SaaS applications are typically the next one they address. And of course, big data is everywhere these days. So big data, NoSQL integration as well. Very much the same benefits. And so I really believe whether you're an analyst, developer, IT departments, what have you, this is a solution that will work for everyone. So, think about, what are the trade-offs here? How can I really get access to my data when I need it, make it compatible with just about any tool I'm using without requiring a lot of technical know-how? Progress DataDirect offers that solution to you. So I encourage you all, if you want to try it out, you can get started for free. Just head over to progress.com/products/data sources. You can click into any data source there and download a free trial and get started today. If you want to learn more from our blogs, head over to blogs.datadirect.com. We have great examples of customer stories, errors that we fixed along the way for different companies when they were doing integrations. You'll get a lot of great material over at our blogs. And if you want to reach out to us, if you want to chat about this and understand a little bit more around how this can solve your particular pain point, I encourage you all, of course, to head over to the Contact Us form. You can see the URL there as well. And when we distribute these slides, of course, you'll have hyperlink versions available, so that'll certainly make it easy for you. And that's it for part one. Short and sweet. I really want to make you aware of some of the great solutions we're offering there. We're going to have two more parts here as well. Part two coming up in about a week by my good friend Sumit. We'll be talking about unified access to your Oracle data as well. Whether you're moving, really from Oracle 8 or 9 to version 12, but needing to continue integration with older versions. Maybe you want to integrate your Oracle database gateway with a variety of other data sources as well. We're going to show you how we do that, how we simplify the management and the integration with Oracle, something we do for a lot of our customers and really a hot trend that we've seen this year as well. And then finally, part three, I'll be back again in September, really talking about cross-platform SQL Server integration. So if you have Unix applications, maybe you're starting to sunset your Windows applications as you move to the cloud, lowering license cost, or maybe supporting more of the VM infrastructure that you'll be running on top of. And we see companies moving towards Linux and Unix-based applications, but continuing to use a SQL Server database. You want to continue to do that, continue to take advantage of things like Windows authentication. We'll take you through some of that as well. So I encourage you all to come back, especially if you use any of these systems, come back and check out parts 2 and 3 as well, really as part of our short and sweet Summer of Connectivity series. And that's it for me today. I want to thank you all for joining. For anybody who has questions, keep them in the chat window. I'm going to certainly, I'll write up as part of our blog, answers to those questions so that they're visible to everybody as well. So by all means, keep the questions coming into the chat window. We'll certainly make the slides and the recording available to you all as well. So with that, I wanted to, again, say thank you very much for joining us and hope you join us in the next couple of sessions. Thank you.